Here to cover. It's going to be a much longer opening statement than you guys are used to from me. So first, definitely want to recognize just our community. Obviously, all the damage from the fires in previous weeks has been something that's been heavy on the heart of our entire program. We were very fortunate that we had a very limited number of people within our program that were affected. When you talk about former players, current players and staff, so very fortunate that way. But it's also something that's become very important to our team from an outreach standpoint to make sure that we're supporting our community, the first responders. I've been very proud of just our team's response, how involved and engaged our staff has been, our guys have been with that effort, and those are certainly going to continue. And again, our hearts and prayers go out to all the people affected and to our community. It's something we feel. We know USC is a huge part of Los Angeles. The amount of support that we get, how close this city is, it's just it's very near and dear to us. And so just want everybody to know that we're here and going to continue to support those efforts, the first responders, the families affected, as much as we possibly can. Second, want to go through just some of these new hires and responsibilities. I'm sure I'll get some questions on them here in a second, but obviously welcoming Rob Ryan, our assistant head coach for defense and linebackers coach. Obviously, not hard to find out about his history and the type of coach that he is, the type of players that he's coached. Very fortunate to be able to add him to our staff, and you can feel his energy, his experience, his impact already. Chad Savage is our tight ends and inside receivers coach, a guy that really stood out to us very quickly in the process when we were looking to make obviously the additional offensive staff hire, and really somebody that has caught our eye in terms of being an elite developer of talent, elite recruiter, tremendous connections on the West Coast, specifically in the Los Angeles area that we certainly feel already, and had the added benefit of working with knowing with and having worked with a lot of people that had worked with Chad directly. So that's been a tremendous hire. And then Trevon Reed here most recently as our corners coach, something that we had looked at after the offseason, and certainly being able to take advantage of some of the new rules regarding coaching and what all the different staff members can do, was adding another full-time secondary coach to the mix. Our Coach Belt will still be certainly the lead secondary coach, and obviously assisted by Coach Lynn with his secondary experience. But bringing Trevon in as a former NFL player, another guy that's a tremendous recruiter, has great relationships, and we think will do a tremendous job in that room pairing with Coach Belt and Coach Lynn. And then want to announce those that are at least officially hired in here right now on the personnel side. Obviously, Chad Bowden is the general manager. Drake Brown is the executive director of scouting and personnel, and then Zaire Turner, the assistant AD of recruiting operations. Want to give a shout out just before I kind of talk about that staff as a whole to Jen Cohen, to Jay Hillbrands, to Dave Emmerich. Those three in particular were vital in this process of really revamping our entire kind of off the field and personnel recruiting, scouting staff. These are hires and really a bigger change that has been in the works for, even before the season started. And I think we quickly recognized as we started vetting candidates, as we started having conversations, that this is obviously a ever-evolving world in college football. There were a lot of different people that we talked to in a lot of different areas, from the NFL, college, businesses. We talked to people with all types of backgrounds. It was the most, honestly, extensive search, hiring and interview process that I've ever been a part of. But I believe our patience and how thorough we were, how committed we all were, our administration was to getting this right, I think was absolutely rewarded. I think Chad, obviously his track record speaks for himself, and that was something that made sense pretty quickly when we were able to engage in some conversations with him in terms of our vision for USC, his vision for what we could continue to be. And there was just a general and shared excitement about where this place is going that I think really neither side could ignore. And then obviously really excited throughout his connections to add Dre and Zaire to the fold. We've got a couple others that will be announced here in the coming days and be here to Los Angeles that'll continue to round out that staff. But I fully believe when it's all said and done, and I don't say this lightly, I think it's going to be the best personnel off the field staff in the country. And that was the goal, to build that from the beginning. You see where these people have come from, their experience, the quality of jobs that they're leaving. They're not just doing this out of the kindness of their hearts. They see the opportunity here. They see the momentum here. And that's why we've been able to assemble that staff, along with, again, just tremendous support from Jen and everybody on the administrative side. And it's made a big difference. I mean, you can feel it, the excitement within our walls as a staff. Bringing in this quality of people, the difference that it's going to make in our program, it is certainly going to be felt, and really already being felt. And I think it's also, again, another vote of confidence in terms of where this program is headed, to see these people join on with us, to see the investment by the university, and pairing with that, we've set some very aggressive goals from an NIL standpoint that our administration is heading up. And, we want to certainly continue to encourage all the great Trojans out there to continue to support that initiative, because just like, hiring some of these great coaches we've been able to hiring this personnel staff, investing, doing all the things that we're doing to keep this program accelerating, that's going to continue to be another big part. We're counting on all the Trojans to step up and do their part there. And as always, it's very much appreciated. Last thing I want to address here on the staffing part, two kind of reassignments within our staff. So Dave Emmerich obviously is transitioning out of the general manager role to the senior associate AD for football administration. Dave has been instrumental in all of these hires, has been a part of this process for us since this summer, and has really, has brought a ton of his experience and insight to this, and his vision was certainly key in putting the whole staff together, off the field, on the field, all parts of it. He is going to transition into a role where he's got oversight and a lot of involvement on all areas of our program, which is becoming more and more important as these staffs get bigger and you've got all these different moving arms, and especially within my role, still having a pretty active part of the day-to-day coaching of our football team. Having somebody like that with his experience and that we know and trust will be instrumental going forward, and we haven't had a better person to do it, and he's been just tremendous during this transition. As you can imagine, the signing class, getting all these different people hired, transitioning to a different role, it's been a lot, and he's been a true Trojan through and through, and as a guy that's just, what is best for the team and how can I serve USC and help us win national championships. That's been his mindset and will continue to be. I also want to announce that we're going to transition Clark Stroud to the Executive Director for Player Development and University Relations. Clark, as many as you know, has worked together with me for years, going back to Oklahoma. He was the Dean of Students previously at that university, and really has a great gift for young people, the development of young people, putting together programs. And so the player development side is something that we are going to continue to invest in as a program. It's very, very important to us that we have a great support system set up for our players, that we leverage all the different opportunities that both this university and Los Angeles provide. And so that is going to become a much, I'd say, bigger and more heavily invested in part of our program, and Clark's going to be the one and is the perfect person to steer us kind of into the new era of player development here at USC. So we've got a couple other roles within the staff that will shift around as we take advantage of all the great skill sets and as we adapt to some of the different hirings that we've had, and we'll announce those at the appropriate time. And then finally, I want to get to our two signees here today. Give our staff a lot of credit, the guys that were a little bit kind of under the radar, and people that we had our eyes on for a long time. Jaden Ramos and AJ Tuatelli, two defensive players. Jaden being an edge player out of Texas in the Houston area. We had some great connections there locally. to his high school coaches and a couple of other people close to him, and somebody that we felt very strongly about from a developmental standpoint. He was a highly productive player in Texas this year that's got a great frame. We really fell in love with the kid when he came up on the visit, and excited to be able to sign him today. And then AJ, obviously from Las Vegas, a linebacker that really jumped off the tape, a kid that kind of blew up a little bit his senior year. One of those guys that in the new age of recruiting where so much of this happens early, he's one of those guys that you go pop on this kid's senior tape and it really stands out. And so felt very fortunate to be able to identify him, to be able to build a relationship with him and his great family. Another guy that we had a great visit with here in Los Angeles and felt very strongly about, and very excited to be able to sign him and add his explosiveness, his character to our linebacker room. So excited to get those guys in the vote today, and that's those are the two that we're expecting. So team's doing very well right now, in the middle of our off-season programming. So Coach Wiley and his staff, Rachel Suba and her staff have got some aggressive goals for our guys in terms of strength development, continuing to adapt these body types that we have, and so far off to a great start. So those are really the announcements that I have here today. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have for me.
We'll take some questions. We'll raise our hands. We'll start with Keely.
Coach, as far as Coach Lynn's extension, how important was that to continue working with those?
Yeah, it definitely was important. We felt like, we made obviously some tremendous strides in year one with Coach Lynn. It's a system that we very much believe in, and I think we understand the value of continuity. And we always want our guys to be able to move up when those great opportunities come. But at the same time, I think building a culture, and I think a place where your staff members or your players, everybody is excited about the direction of where we're going, that they want to continue to be a part of this climb. And I think when you get a chance to talk to Coach Lynn, I mean that's what that was a big part of the reason that he chose to remain here. When your alma mater comes after you, that pulls at people in different ways. And but I think in the end, Dan wanted to be a Trojan. And he's excited about what we're building. He sees the vision. He sees the changes. He sees the progress. He sees the new hires. I mean, he sees all parts of that, the players that we have incoming. And so certainly retaining him and adding to that defensive staff in the way that we have is very exciting. I think it's very important for the program.
Multi-part question on the retained personnel department. What was the initial impetus or moment when you realized you got to rethink all this? Does it start with talking to Jen Cohen and saying you need to really invest here? Is that kind of stuff going? And then how do all these initiatives tangibly impact recruiting success? How does it all lead into the outcome you want?
Yeah, I think it's something that we've all been aware of for a long time, and I think there's been a lot of opportunities along the line where we started to have those conversations. I mean, really, when we hired Dave, several years ago, it was really for more of a role like he's going to be for us now. But then obviously college football changed, our administration changed. We had a few things moving, and so David's, like I said, really has been kind of for the team what we needed him to be in certain moments. But I think we always believed that this transition was coming, and I think both Jen Cohen and Jay Hilbrand's their experience in this business, having constant conversations with really all four of us about the future of this and kind of when was the right time and who do we target was important. And I look back on it now, we could have rushed into different people, different structures at different times, and I don't know that we would be feeling as good as we do sitting here today, to be completely honest with you. I think our patience was tested throughout this process, because anytime you've got a new hire, that's something you want to do. There's an excitement and an eagerness to just get it done, get it behind you, kind of get moving. But I think we all recognize that this is very important to get this right. And it's not just, obviously, Chad was the first part of it. It is a huge part of it. But it's more than just one person. It's a system. It's a way of doing things. You restructure other jobs. You bring in other people around them. there's a lot to it. This was probably the most difficult hire that I've been a part of in all my years of being a head coach. Just because, you want to go hire a linebacker coach, like go interview the best linebacker coach. Now we probably got the best one on the planet, which worked out good. But it's a pretty simple process. You go hire a general manager, college football. You go to the NFL, you go to the business sector, you go to college. How do you know who can build a system? If they haven't been in college, how fast are they going to adapt? Like there's a lot to it. But we were very, very, very thorough, and like I said, I think we knew pretty quickly that this was going to happen at some point, but it happened at the perfect time with the perfect people.
How does the addition of Chad Bowden, how does that, and the people that he's going to bring with him, how does that specifically benefit the USC football program?
Well, I think one, and you'll get a chance to talk to Chad here in a minute, but one of his biggest goals and our biggest goals with this was to allow our coaches to coach more. I know as crazy as that sounds, but a lot of our coaches get pulled in so many different directions that you want to be able to, within your organization, that whatever strengths people bring to the table, you want to be able to accentuate those as much as you possibly can. And so our coaches are still certainly going to have a big role in evaluating, certainly going to still have a big role in recruiting, but their department is going to spearhead scouting. It's going to have a heavy role in recruiting. It's going to have a heavy role in how we construct our roster. It's going to have a heavy role in our salary cap and how we manage that, how we strategize. It is certainly, I don't know if it's fair to say that it's like completely to an NFL model, because different NFL teams do it in different ways, but it's certainly trending much closer to that, whether there's a lot of synergy, but there's also kind of separate responsibilities, and it really is going to be kind of its own department within our program. And we wanted to build a team of people that allow that to operate at a higher level, where we can evaluate more people, we can recruit more people efficiently, and then we can manage the roster, take a few things off of the coaches so the coaches can really dive heavily into coaching and developing our team, and allow our people in personnel, scouting, and recruiting to do their jobs at a high level.